Welcome to My Designed Life.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wholepreneur Summit, where we are here to support your mind, body, spirit, and business. I'm your host, Tanya MFK, and we have a special segment about your health at home during this pandemic. We're going to review simple steps that you can take to boost your immune system, make your day more productive, and improve your overall health. My guest is a regular expert on Fox News and Good Morning Washington as a health advisor and culinary expert. She is an author, coach, speaker, creator of the Kitchen Intervention, and a leader in the lifestyle space of health and wellness. Her focus on balance and simplicity makes health easy and accessible for our everyday lives. Here today to teach us how to thrive at all times, but especially right now at home through home quarantine, please welcome Ms. Kristen Coffield. Hi, Kristen.
Good morning. How are you, Tanya? And I'm here in Alexandria, Virginia, and like everybody, I'm learning what life is like when you pivot. I'm used to working at home, but this limited going in and out really changes your perspective on the world.
Yes. Oh, doesn't it? So this is such a great time to have you here giving us these tips and these tools as we are, for one of the only times really, I think in our collective society, we're all going through the same thing. So this is such a unique time. So what you're going to share with us today, and what I understand is you're going to walk us through some tips that we can use right now to maintain our health and sanity while here at home. So I'm going to just let you take it away.
Perfect. Well, right now and forever, because we have to take advantage of this unique situation and make it work for us. There's no other option. So we've got to figure out how we can take this and help us improve our businesses, our quality of life, and most importantly, our quality of health. So I'm going to walk through three major areas that anybody can do right now, because that's what people really need. What can you do today? What can you take away from what I'm going to share with you and literally implement it immediately?
Yes.
So I'm going to talk about, first of all, the morning routine and just why it's so important and it cues you up for the day. And I know you're going to elaborate on that a little bit more. So I think this will help people make a little more sense of that. But I'm going to talk about the power of hydration. Mm-hmm. I'm going to talk about sugar detoxing so that we can manage cravings, because social distancing from our refrigerators is becoming a real issue for a lot of people.
Yeah. People are calling it the quarantine 15, I think.
Right. None of us need that. And the power of fiber, fat, and protein to start our day right and not only nourish us, but fuel us into productivity. Yeah. So when we talk about the first hour of the day, that's how you cue yourself up for the day. That's this magic time that sets the tone for whether you're going to be productive or whether you're going to stay in your pajamas and binge on Netflix. So under the best of circumstances, I tell people, use the first hour of the day and it will make each day great. Yes. So the first tip is, do not get on your phone or your laptop, because once you do that, your to-do list goes out the window and you become a slave to other people's to-do list. You start to answer emails. You're looking at your social media. You're answering responses to something you post. Don't do that. Start the first hour.
And it's a bit of a Russian roulette, I think, when we don't necessarily know what's going to come across that feed. So it can be something that throws us into just like fear or frustration. You just don't know what's going to come across. So if that's the first thing you're putting your mood for your day into, who knows what it's going to be? Hopefully it's a fun cat video, but these days it's usually not that great information first thing in the morning.
Well, this is made to be addictive.
Yeah.
And we're like Pavlov's dog. Oh, did I get an email? Oh, how many likes did I get on that? So don't get onto your electronics in that first hour. You need to save that first hour for queuing yourself up for the day, some sort of mindfulness activity. You've got to get moving, get the blood flowing, make that mind-body connection.
Yes.
And whether that's getting outside early and getting a walk, and that's a good thing to do right now. Get up early, get out, get your exercise first thing before other people are out there. Get your head on for the day. Have a moment of gratitude because you woke up. That's a miracle in and of itself. Look at your to-do list and rehydrate. And this is gonna take us right into hydration.
Yes. Okay.
So here's a little primer on why we need to start our day with water and not coffee. You can still have your coffee.
Okay.
Tanya and I both love a good cup of coffee.
Love my coffee, but not first thing, right? That's what we're learning.
There's a powerful reason to drink water first. When we're sleeping, major metabolic processes are happening. All of the organs in our body are on a circadian cycle. The circadian cycle, if you remember from your high school science class, is that light-dark, sleep-wake process that, that's when we develop melatonin, which helps us sleep better. So every organ is on a circadian cycle. And we are actually supposed to be asleep between the hours of 11 and 2 because that's when most of these processes happen. So that's another reason to, both in the first hour of the day and the last hour of the day, not be on your blue light screen, not be doing something that's lighting up the neurons in your brain. Because when we're asleep, our spinal fluid literally comes up and gives our brains a power wash and degunks all of that accumulated detritus that's up there. And the same with all our organs. So we have been in a fast when we're sleeping.
Right.
We're fasting. And our body is detoxing all these different organs. Our lymphatic system is now gunked up with all this waste. And the first thing we need to do is rehydrate with a glass of water, preferably warm, because it's going to be more absorbable. Our body's going to absorb it. And preferably with the juice of half a lemon. And I'm going to show you how easy that is. You just get one of these lemon juicers. You put your half a lemon. You've got your 8 to 10 ounces of water. And now you've got the juice of half a lemon added to that.
Nice.
And what that is going to do, that's like boosting your water. So now I've added lemon juice, which is acidic. It's going to go into my body acidic, but it's going to convert into an alkaline substance in my body.
Okay.
So acidity increases and creates inflammation in our bodies. We want to dial down acidity. We want more foods, and fruits and vegetables are the best way to create a more alkaline body.
Okay.
So this warm lemon water is doing a couple of things. It's rehydrating after the fast that occurred during sleep. It's helping my lymphatic system detox all that gunk that it's been collecting on all my major organs. And I'm getting that improved alkalinity. Plus, right now, more than ever, we need vitamin C.
All right.
So I'm getting that lemon juice is going to add some vitamin C. And you can see I'm using a straw because although it turns alkaline in the body, it's acidic in my mouth, and I want to cleanse my tooth enamel.
Okay. So I love that. So we have this simple thing, literally 2 ingredients, water with some lemon, ideally room temperature. This is rehydrating our body after a long fast. This is giving us vitamin C, and it's increasing our body's need for alkalinity. And so just to recap what she's saying, guys, too, is that yes, it's acidic, and you go, wait a minute, it's citric acid, but she's saying, yes, it is, and it is on the teeth. But as soon as it comes into your body, it turns into something alkaline. So this 2 ingredient, minor step, no cooking required, is giving us huge benefits, it sounds like.
It's a morning superpower. And just to drink 8 to 10 ounces of water first thing in the morning is going to help you start to hydrate for the day. And that's another thing that we're talking about, the power of hydration. And most people are walking around partially dehydrated, and they don't even know it. Because why would you know it? You get used to feeling like, meh, you're just like, that's just how I feel.
We start to accept that as normal.
Correct. And, I like to say, shitty is not your new normal. We've forgotten what it feels like to feel great. So as a culinary coach, the first thing I always say to people is, you've got to be fully hydrated before we can address anything else. That's the first protocol in working with me. You've got to get hydrated. And it doesn't happen in a day. It takes like a week of practicing this to get fully hydrated. So what does proper hydration look like? It's 10 ounces of water an hour for 10 hours a day. It's 100 ounces of water a day.
Okay. I'm sure some people might be freaking out about this a little bit. Can you break it down for us? 100 ounces every hour.
Maybe you're going to start with 8 ounces of water for 10 hours a day. But when you say 100 ounces of water, people are like, oh my God, I'm going to be running to the bathroom. It doesn't work like that. When you drink it over time, our bodies use it. It uses the water because our bodies are 55% water. Right. And our organs all need water to function. So when you sip it throughout the day, it's different than if you sat down and drank 100 ounces.
Right. Your body's needing a chance to use it as opposed to putting it all in. And it's like, what do I do with all this? Oh, I go to the bathroom.
Yeah, exactly. You put it all in, it all goes out. And now somebody's saying, oh my God, I can't drink 10 ounces of water. Well, yes, you can, because here's 10 ounces. Here's a glass.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody can drink that much water an hour. It's just not that much water. It's not as much as you think it is.
Right.
You can drink that in an hour.
Yeah, that visual is so helpful. That's just a regular. I mean, people are drinking a lot more wine than that, So.
That's right. That's just one good glass of wine. Right. So 10 ounces an hour, 10 hours a day.
Okay.
And I challenge every single person who is watching this, you can do this. It's free. You have water and you're working from home. So you can measure how much water you're drinking. 10 ounces an hour, 10 hours a day, game changer.
Yeah,
wow. Because here's what happens if we're even a little bit dehydrated. Dehydration affects our ability to make good decisions. And those are all kinds of decisions. So if your coworkers are now your spouse and your kids, your stress level is going to go up. You might be fueling yourself with more caffeine. Caffeine in and of itself isn't dehydrating, but it is a diuretic. So if you're drinking more caffeine, you might be losing more liquid, and that can cause you to need to replace more liquid.
Okay.
If you're drinking more wine, I certainly know I'm enjoying a glass of wine every day at 5. Alcohol is dehydrating. So more than ever, it's important to be hydrated because it helps us make better decisions. It helps us balance our mood. It helps us manage those feelings of stress. And it helps us make better food decisions. We're already talking about safe social distancing, the refrigerator, and the snacks. So if you're fully hydrated, you're going to make better food decisions. You're going to make better business decisions. You're going to feel better. Your stress level is going to be better. You're going to sleep better, and your body's going to function better.
And this is all from just drinking water.
Just drinking water. Just drinking the right amount of water the right way.
And that's the right amount. That's the key part, right? So I think a lot of us think we're drinking enough water, but if we're not paying attention or measuring it or following some sort of protocol like this 10 for 10 hours, it's easy for us to probably underestimate, overestimate what we're actually doing. So I always say, men lie, women lie, numbers don't lie. So do you have a way that we can track this? Do you have a suggestion to track kind of how much?
People love to take their water bottles and put rubber bands on them. Okay. So if this bottle is 15 ounces, I know that I need 2, 4, 6 of these a day. So I would have 6 bands, rubber bands on here. And every time I finish a bottle, I lower the rubber band.
Okay.
And that way I know how many I've had. Other people set an alarm on their phone and they keep a glass of water with them at all times. And they just make sure if their alarm goes off at the end of the hour, up, down the hatch.
Perfect. Okay, guys, if you're watching this right now, pick one of those. If you have rubber bands around, or most of you all have alarms and phones, pick one of those and just do it now. This is just a game changer, and it's available to all of us right now.
And here's another thing. If you're not a big water fan, I don't love water, go ahead, drink herbal tea or green tea. That counts too.
Oh, perfect.
And you
Love
can
some
boost
tea.
your water. You can add the juice of half an orange. You can add
cucumber water.
Whatever.
Okay.
You can boost your water. But water is the low-hanging fruit of wellness. At the Culinary Cure, I am constantly pushing water. I'm on Instagram 365 days a year. And one of the things that I'm constantly reiterating is, are you starting your day with warm lemon water?
Yeah.
And people, it's amazing how many times people have to hear it before they actually implement it. So now's the perfect time. We're in this quarantine situation. We can pull back, take a bird's eye view of our habits, and figure out how we can use them to improve our health, because never before has our health been as important. We need to have a strong immune system. I can't guarantee that you won't get the coronavirus, but I can tell you, if you get rid of processed foods and added sugar, and you eat more fruits and vegetables and nuts and plant-based foods, you will improve and drink more water and get better sleep. You will improve your immune system. And if you do get it, you will be in a much better position to get through it.
Pull through it. Yeah. And I want to notice, guys, all of the things that she just mentioned, they weren't fandangled supplements. It wasn't some special thing you need to buy. These are all things that are accessible and available and ready. Sleep, that's something that you have available right to you, just to do it right. Water's right there. The fruits, the vegetables, the processed foods, are actually, more complicated than trying to just go to that produce and vegetable aisle. So these are all really easy steps to increase our health, our overall health and ability to get through anything that comes our way, stress, any type of illness. Then of course, what we're all facing right now. So what a powerful tool right here.
A powerful free tool.
Yes.
And just a real quickie on sleep. Just remember, you need a cool, dark, and quiet room. And if that means wearing foam earplugs, covering something that emits light that you might see, or
eye mask. I love eye masks. I do the eye
or
mask.
Keeping your temperature. Your room should almost be like a meat locker at night. We just sleep better in a cool room. So cool, dark, and quiet. 3 sleep tips. All right. So the next thing is, as we've talked about, safe social distancing from the refrigerator and the snacks. Never before has it been more important to control our sugar cravings.
Oh yeah, goodness.
And that's a real problem for people, because sugar is one of the most highly addictive substances on the planet.
Whew.
It's got an opiate-like effect on the brain. The more you eat sweet, the more you crave sweet.
Right. So you may not even like sugar as much as you think you do. It's the addiction like acting out, right? And I saw this fun quote on Instagram the other day. It said, "Stay away from sugar. You're sweet enough as it is."
Oh, that's cute. Yeah. Well, and the real problem is, and it's sugar, and it's artificial sweeteners, and it's sugar alcohols that are super sweet, monk fruit and stevia. They're all bad, because your brain doesn't know if it's getting real sugar or fake sugar. So whatever super sweet thing, it's going to trigger the sugar response, and it's going to trigger that craving for more sweet things.
That's a huge thing to note, guys. So I know there's a lot of alternatives out there that tout themselves as better, and perhaps in some circumstances they could be quote unquote better, but in the long run, it sounds like it's the sugar result is still sugar. It's still, the effect on the body is the same. So just because you're using a alternative, or some may want to call it a healthy alternative, doesn't change the fact that we actually don't need the sugar or function well with it, correct?
And sugar only became so ubiquitous in the American and world diet after World War II, when corn became king, and cane sugar was harder to get because it was grown in, you know, the Philippines and these places that had been cut off during World War II. So once we started putting corn sugar in everything, it was cheap, it was available, and manufacturers, food producers were like, oh my gosh, if we add sugar to this, people like it more because sugar is addictive. Right? So this is how we all became, you know, sweet tooths. You know, there's sugar in stuff. If you're not reading labels, you have no idea whether there's added sugar in your food.
Yeah, spaghetti sauces. I remember seeing that in there. Things that you don't think are sweet at all. And I think I've mentioned to a lot of people now, for myself living in Europe, it's a little different the way that things are produced. And so even in like a local bakery or something, their cakes can look extremely sweet and just similar to American, and then you taste it and they're almost bland to an American palate because it's not the same amount of sugar that they use. It's just not their, it's more of a cultural thing, I think, but it's so surprising how different it is. There's something about in America, like our sweets, and my husband, when we lived in America, he used to add water to almost every juice he was ever given. There were I think someone gave him a cheesecake once, and he's a big sweet guy. We need to have this talk with him. But he, you know, he's like, he loves it. He took a bite. He's like, oh my gosh, like I can't even eat this. It's just completely different the way that sugar's infused into our society, into our culture there, especially in America. It's everywhere. But I think we get a real rough end of the sugar sneak-ins in the US.
Yeah. And you bring up a good point about diluting your juice. First of all, juice should be avoided when you're talking about hydration. Hydration is water and tea, you know, herbal tea or green tea. That's what we're talking about. That's what you need to count for your 100 ounces a day. Juice is processed fruit. So you
still a processed food.
Yeah, it's processed fruit. That's not to say some juices aren't good for us, and I occasionally will make a beet, celery, lemon, ginger juice because it's so bioavailable and good for me. But when we talk about things like apple juice and orange juice, first of all, you don't need them. You're better off eating the fruit. But second of all, if you do need to detox from super sweet beverages, and that can include diet sodas, juices, start cutting them with water. Start cutting juice with water. Start cutting your carbonated beverages with carbonated, mineral water, and dial back your addiction to that sugar. Dial back your craving for that sweetness, because what it does is it skews our ability to taste natural sweetness and natural flavors. So when we are used to all this sugar in everything from chicken stock to coffee, because all these processed coffees, you know, this hazelnut, blah, 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 you know, that's a sugar bomb. That's a milkshake. It's not a coffee. And if you drink one of those, an orange just isn't going to taste that good because you just had, you know, this super sweet, sugary flavor. So dialing back sugar cravings is really important, and what a great opportunity for us to really look at what we're doing and how it serves us. Sugar creates inflammation in the body. Inflammation is linked to every disease you don't want to have. Inflammation raises our stress level. Sugar, it's like sugar equals inflammation equals stress.
Oh my gosh. So that tasty candy bar like goes right to stress. Exactly. So we want to snack on real whole foods like
fruits, like things like nuts, celery, nut butter, all kinds of things. Think about what we should be eating this way. And this is perfect for a quarantine situation. We should be shopping, cooking, and eating like our great grandparents did. If it wasn't around when they were kids, we shouldn't eat it either. So become a label reader, look for that sneaky added sugar, look for all that added sodium, look for artificial ingredients. If it's got more than 10 ingredients, I just don't buy it. Buy foods that don't have a list of ingredients.
Right. 100% apple. Yeah. Ingredient apple.
Although it's got lots of good things for you in it, because your body knows exactly what to do with the nutrients in this apple. It knows exactly how to break down the micro and macronutrients, send them where they're needed, and fuel you for the day.
Now, for those who might be going like, Kristen, I totally hear you. I love it, but I just have a sweet tooth. One of the things that I'm hearing as well is that as we make this shift, you know, when an apple doesn't seem to cut it for you, as you start to make this shift, your palate can actually change once you're starting to get away from sugar. So those tastes can actually change. They will taste better. You just got to give it a little time. Just got to trust Kristen in this and go a little longer.
And start with the hydration, because that helps the cravings.
Cuts the cravings, right.
Decisions. And then, you know, I want to talk about fiber, fat, and protein and how we use that as a tool to start our day. Because as we've already discussed, how you start your day sets the tone for your day.
Yeah.
Both in that first hour of the day and what you do in that first hour, and the first meal of the day and what's in that first meal of the day. And that's setting up your brain signaling for the whole day. Breakfast is traditionally, in many cultures, the sweetest meal of the day, intentionally or unintentionally. And that's things like, not only things like added sugars, but it's things like refined grains that turn into sugar in the body. So if you start your day with sugar, and we know sugar's addictive, you're going to crave sugar all day long. So setting up your breakfast to serve your day and serve your brain, what do you know, when I look at my food, what do I want from my food? You know, do I want just short-term pleasure? Well, then eat the cookie. Am I looking right? And sometimes we do. And I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I make cookies just because I want to eat the cookie dough, and that's okay. And then I give them to my neighbors, and I'm done with that. But what do I want from my breakfast? I want energy. I want mental stamina. I don't want stress. So I want to dial down stress. I want to feel good, and I want to stay fuller longer. So fiber, fat, and protein are really the trifecta of a healthy breakfast. And it doesn't mean necessarily bacon and eggs, you know, and a lot of animal protein. Breakfast is a great way to incorporate plant protein. And I love eggs. Eggs are great. And a hard-boiled egg is great. Scrambled eggs are great. But there are other great ways to start your day. So this might be a typical breakfast. This is
beautiful.
It's a half an avocado, a little bit of salad with extra virgin olive oil, and some kraut, some pickled, you know, kraut here, purple. Amazing. Deliciousness, because this is giving me fiber, fat, and protein. Plant fiber is loaded with prebiotics. Prebiotics are what probiotics, or good bacteria that live in our gut, need to thrive. And remember, our gut calls the shots. Our gut sends thousands of signals a day to our brain, and our brain only sends a couple of hundred a day to our gut. So we want to feed the good bacteria in our gut. We want to get that fiber, because that's going to help us stay regular, but it's also going to keep us fuller longer and feed that good bacteria. That healthy fat is going to feed our brain. So, we've got that necessary fat, because our brain and our sex organs are the two, organs in our body that function on healthy cholesterol and need those good fats. And then we're getting, some lettuce. So you might not think of this as a typical breakfast.
Right.
But eat it. If I served this to you, you'd be like, what? And then you eat it and you're like, well, this is delicious.
And then you feel, right? That's a different result too. What do I want from this? Like you said, to question, what do I want? So you may go, this is weird. I'm used to eggs and bacon or something else, or jam and toast. But how you feel afterwards, ask yourself how you feel. I mean, that's the big question. That's the big thing that is the benefit there. So yeah.
Exactly. You're going to be fuller longer. You're going to have more ability to concentrate and stick with your schedule. You're not going to snack as much. And food, you have to really think about what is food. Food, when you get to the most basic essence of what it is, calories are fuel. Calories are energy.
Yeah.
So mindlessly eating calories is different than mindfully using nutrients.
Yes. I heard someone say once, have you ever eaten a huge meal and then felt energized right after? And most people were like, absolutely not, because you got too much fuel and now you're bogged down. So really thinking of like, what do I need this for? What is my purpose for even fueling up right now? Because we don't need usually as much as we think. We don't need these heavy things, because our point and our goal is usually to function, especially at home now when we need like a different set of skills as we're dealing with, news, family, just changes. The last thing we need to feel is sluggish all day as we're trying to go through these changes.
Yeah. And the last thing we need is food that doesn't fill us up and nourish us, but leaves us hungry and craving more. And we're all trying to figure out how to stock our pantries and larders in case we're really told, don't leave your house, know?
Right.
And so that's foods. These are foods that have staying power, apples and oranges. This is my chia pudding, super simple. And chia seeds, they're inexpensive when you make them into chia pudding. I've got some blueberries, some nuts,
gorgeous,
some cinnamon on there. And I make these up and I've got them in my fridge so they're grab and go ready.
So you can pre-make them.
Yeah. Steel cut oats. They take 40 minutes to cook. So go ahead, make a big batch, and then you can reheat them. Takes seconds to reheat them. So breakfast, or the first meal of the day, and you don't have to eat your breakfast at 7 a.m. It doesn't matter. It's the first meal.
It's about the first meal. Okay, right. So it's not about timing thing. If you're intermittent fasting or something,
right?
Just your first meal. Now, before we go, also, I mean, and not we're leaving now, but to the next subject. Your chia seed pudding, I'm sure there's people going, okay, what exactly is that? We saw what was on top. You have a recipe on your website, or you want to give us just a quick idea of what is that?
Okay. It's so simple. It's a half a cup of chia seeds to 2 cups of almond milk. And I just buy the vanilla almond milk because it's already got a little bit of sweetener in it. It's got the vanilla. It cuts out all those other steps. And I literally put it in a blender bottle for
like a protein shake.
For a protein shake with the blender bowl, and I just shake it up and until the chia seeds are suspended in the liquid, because they absorb liquid. If you don't shake it up and sort of emulsify it, they all settle in the bottom and clump. So you want to shake. But I've got this recipe and many more plant-based recipes at theculinarycure.com. So people can, everything we've talked about is available at theculinarycure.com for people who want to go and download the different sheets, the morning routine, the recipes, how to sleep better. It's all there. So nobody needs to miss anything. Just
So don't worry. Yeah. If you didn't take your notes, guys, or you didn't take a screenshot, you'll be able to get all this. I got you covered. Another question I wanted to ask is because you mentioned that grains, a lot of time we're eating processed grains. And I think the referral was probably towards like maybe breads or cereals. Because then you mentioned like oats were okay. Could you give us a little just clarification on maybe an example of what a lot of us may be eating and think is healthy versus what would be ideal?
Absolutely. So when we talk about grains, there's a lot more money to be made when you refine a grain and turn it into something else than there is to tell people, oh, just eat this farro, this whole grain, just cook it up and, stir fry it with some vegetables and it's really good and nutritious. It's much more lucrative to take grains, process them, and put them in processed foods. And that includes things like commercially produced breads. Now, if you have a small bakery that uses organic whole grains, that's something else. But for most people, when we talk about bread, we're talking about a highly processed product that's made from refined grains that have been turned into flours and had the fiber, the healthy fiber, pretty much milled out of them.
Right.
So whole grains are as close to their natural form as possible. They've got all that good fiber. They've got a lot of good B vitamins. And so there's many ways that you can harness the power of whole grains, either by cooking them in their natural whole form and eating them that way, or some breads can be made from sprouted whole grains. That can be a good bread to have, but it's pretty hard to find. For most people, it's pretty hard to find a good bread, and we don't really need bread, so we can back away. But if you love bread, and I do love bread, there are some good sprouted whole grain breads.
Finding like top quality. So essentially whole grain, closest to its natural thing. So I know some people go, well, I have whole grain Cheerios. And I used to tell people, when's the time you've ever galloped through a field of Cheerios? So there's not a whole grain. They're just telling you that they've used a whole grain to make it, which is exactly what that process is that we're trying to avoid. So your whole grain crackers, your whole grain, that word is more of a marketing tool as opposed to what Kristen showed you there with just these steel cut oats or any other type of grain in its whole form. But even outside of that, I think I've heard you mention before in some of your other shows, like, yogurt, we think yogurt is a great thing, and it can be, but a lot of us have these kind of flavored fruit and they just become their own sugar bombs. And so really starting to be mindful of exactly what's inside. I guess that goes back to the label reading, right? Of what
label reading. And with yogurt, lots of people love yogurt, and yogurt can have a lot of good benefits for us. Add your own fresh fruit to your yogurt. Use your yogurt with, maybe add some nuts. Add cinnamon. Cinnamon's
amazing.
Oh, cinnamon's so good for you. It's anti-inflammatory, but it also can add that sweetness.
Yeah, it kind of makes everything taste good, and it has no sugar or calories. It's amazing.
And anytime you can add herbs and spices to replace sugar and salt and processed, bad fats, go for it. Just
love it. Okay.
Yeah. So if you do have a sweet tooth, dark chocolate is good.
Okay.
So look for 80 to 90% of the cacao in your chocolate bars. But once you dial back the sugar, even that, you taste it and you're like, oh, this is so good. It tastes so sweet.
Yes.
So managing the sugar, starting the day with fiber, fat, and protein, being fully hydrated, all things that we can be doing and using as tools to reinforce our wellness, with the ultimate goal being to develop this resilient wellness, to put our habits on autopilot. 43% of everything we do every day is mindless repetition. It's just habits. We don't have to think about it. But what we can do now, when we're at home, we're paying attention, we're looking at everything in our environment. Right now is the perfect time to look at our habits and figure out how to make them better.
Yeah.
And that leads into my last thing, which is the kitchen intervention. And never before has there been a better time to look at the conditions in your kitchen and figure out how to make them better.
Yes, I love that. I love that. A lot of people are cleaning their garages and stuff, which is great. That's a nice thing to do, but your kitchen affects you every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, you exist in there at one point every single day. Even if it's getting your takeout and just putting it onto a plate, somehow you're in your kitchen every day. So this is, I love this. So tell us, tell everyone please about more of this kitchen intervention.
The kitchen is the heart of the home. It's where everything pretty much comes back to. The whole home and people in a home really circle around the kitchen. And so it's nobody's fault that nobody ever taught you how to properly create the conditions of life that you need to support a life of abundant health and wellness.
Right.
We've all got too much stuff. But right now, I'm just going to focus on the refrigerator and the pantry. And this is something, put it on your to-do list during this quarantine time, but it will pay off huge benefits over time. All of these things will. Everything that I'm teaching you today will help you move forward in health. Go into your refrigerator and look at the label on every item in there and look for the expiration date. If it's expired, throw it out.
Yes.
It's either lost its nutritional value or it could have potentially become dangerous. Mm-hmm. So if it's expired, throw it out. You're going to be shocked at how much is expired in your condiments in particular. And you're like, wait, I just got that mustard 5 years ago.
Right.
Right. So go through, look at the expiration dates. If something has just expired, queue it up. Triage what you've got. Things that are going to expire soon or things that need to be eaten, you need to have a plan for. And you need to use them up because we are a wasteful people. People tend to throw away about 40% of the food they buy.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Almost half.
It's shocking. And that food ends up in landfills, outgassing, creating, warming up the environment. It's not good. It's not good. Right. So have a plan for everything that you currently have in your refrigerator. Go through your freezer and do the same thing. If you don't know how long something's been there and you can make a good guess, maybe you need to use that ham hock and make some split peas or, something like that. But take a look at what you've got and create a plan for it. And then replace things intentionally. Do not buy anything that you don't have a plan for, because that's how we end up with refrigerators filled with food.
Just stuff, right.
With no meals.
I always hear you say, and I love it, you say, shop for meals, not for food.
Right.
Yeah, and I think it's such a simple yet powerful mind shift is knowing that what you're going to make and then buying the items for what you're going to make as opposed to like, oh, I like that, I'll buy that. I like this, I'll buy this. This could be used sometime. And then you just end up, like you said, with just stuff full of food that gets expired. We don't even know what's going on in there.
Exactly. And then we're like, oh, this is, I've got to throw this out, got to throw that out.
Yeah.
So, and do the same thing in your pantry. And never before has there been such a great need in food banks. So if there are things in your pantry, they'll take your expired canned goods, they'll take your expired rice and beans. And so if there are things you're not going to use, things that they may have added sugar and artificial ingredients, and you're making a decision that you don't want them, they're still food and somebody will want them. Mm-hmm. So put together all the things that you no longer need and want and donate them to a food pantry because people need this food right now.
Yeah.
Then again, triage your pantry so you can see what you've got and see what you need to use. It's pretty simple, but just doing that, you'll be shocked at what you're going to find in the way back, corners of your pantry that you had. I myself have like 12 jars of clam juice in there. My husband loves to make bouillabaisse in January, and I didn't realize I had clam juice, so I bought more clam juice, and then he bought clam juice, and so our quarantine cooking involves clam juice.
A lot of clam juice.
A lot of clam juice. Highly nutritious clam broth.
Well, I mean, because this is really about setting your environment to win. This is about, you're learning these details. You're watching Kristen. You're going, okay, I get it. But if you're still sitting there with a pantry full of things that are that temptation, are that sugar, then you're really kind of setting yourself up to fail. You're taking it in mentally, but you're not taking the physical actions that it takes to set your environment to win for you. And I know you have like some checklists and some different tools that can help people do these interventions just in case they need a little guidance that you have on your website as well, theculinary.cure.com. I know mostly everything that you have usually has something to help them or teach them to do. So guys, if you're, again, going, well, what did she say? Don't worry. You can always check out her website and the kitchen intervention. She really has a lot of details about it and things that you can do to take action now to set that environment to win. So I love that. Anything else? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, and, I have created an online course that is going to relaunch very soon. You can get, if you just sign up for my newsletter, you'll be one of the first people to know when we relaunch that. But it's basically a DIY kitchen intervention, life intervention, culinary intervention. It's a kitchen intervention to change your life. Because as we talked about, it all starts here. It all comes back to the kitchen. Food is love. Food is community. It's family. It's health. It's wellness. It's nutrition. It's math. It's science. It's everything. Food is everything. And going back to eating in a way that our bodies are designed to use food as fuel and use it a certain way. So I've created a gift for everybody who is watching this today. It's called Healthy Habits 101, and it's a free download. It covers everything that I've talked about today, and it's your step-by-step guide that you can use. You're home, why not? It's free.
Right.
Download it and just decide where you're going to start. Don't be overwhelmed. Just start.
Right.
There's never been a better time to create resilient wellness.
Yes.
And I'm on Instagram at Kristen Coffield, and every day, 365 days a year, I post a wellness tip. If you did those 365 tips that I give you, you would absolutely transform your life.
Superhuman.
Just little habits.
Yeah.
And that's what people need to realize. These little habits, these 43% of our day that's mindless repetition, can be used as a tool to create more productivity for our business, more focus on our business, and resilient wellness. Yeah.
Yes. And that's the power, these things that we're talking about. I know there's some people like, well, I feel too stressed right now. I don't know if if this is the right time to do it. But as we've been learning in this entire session and workshop here is that the food and what we're eating and bringing in has a direct correlation to our stress. So if you want to go, well, I need to not be stressed first, guess what? Doing these actually work with that as well. These things are helping create our health. If there's anything that we're all being forced to face is the value of our health. And so as we're here at home, as we have more time to focus on it or be faced with it, maybe you feel just as stressed at home. You're like, I don't know what this extra time she's talking of, but you're being faced with, again, that value of it. And so this is the time to choose those priorities and go, when is the time? Because if it's not now, when? When will it going to be? As if a world pandemic isn't enough, guys, we have some other things to talk about. So these things, hydration, super easy, super powerful. mega benefits. One thing I do want to mention that I know, Kristen, I was so surprised to learn, and I know you talk about this a lot with the hydration, was one little thing that I think surprises people was not to drink water when they're eating their meal. So we want you to drink all day, but they don't drink with your meals. Could you tell them that real quick why?
It's so funny. I thought of that too. I really wanted to share this because this is a real eye-opener for a lot of people. They're drinking water with their meals, and what you have to understand is that digestion begins in our mouth. The first step of digestion is breaking down food in our mouths. And so that means we should be chewing our food very well, but we shouldn't be using water to wash food down. Mm-hmm. So we should be drinking our 10 ounces an hour, but make sure you are hydrated before you sit down to that meal. You need to have finished that 10 ounces for that hour before you sit down to the meal, because breaking food down in our mouths creates the secretion of saliva, which has some enzymes in it, which help break down the food further and help us actually swallow the food. But we don't need extra water to do that. Water will dilute all that. It will actually push down larger pieces of food than should go down, which means our stomachs have to create more acid to break down the food, which can lead to acid reflux and heartburn.
Wow, yeah.
So by simply not drinking liquids with meals, and I'm not saying if you're out, you can't have a nice glass of wine, but keep in mind, there's some basic tenets to eating, and it's stuff that your parents or grandparents told you. Chew each bite 20 times.
Right.
Slow down.
Slow down, yeah.
Slow down. It's not a race.
Yeah.
And now, whenever we're at home, enjoy your meal. Eat mindfully.
Yeah.
Stop when you're 80% full. Because
Yeah.
you're really 100% full. Your body just doesn't know it yet.
Yeah. So these, again, simple things that we can do. And I love that you said, they're things that we've been told, but I think in a world where we're also relearning to wash our hands, it's probably just as important that we're learning again that, these little things that we didn't think were a big deal, chewing, slowing down, are so important. And I just love to reiterate that hydration is so important, but surprisingly not with our meals. And like you said, maybe it's a glass of wine, but that's the exception, not the norm, right? So standard is just, if you make that little adjustment, again, you're just enhancing your health that much more by allowing the nutrients, the enzymes to do their work. And it all does start in our gut. So hydration we covered. We have the fat, fiber, and protein, which you gave us a few examples. That amazing pudding, guys, starting your day with pudding. I mean, how much better can you be?
Your Healthy Habits 101, it's one of the recipes that's included in Healthy Habits 101. So
I love it.
And make that detoxing from sugar, and that goes in with, if we're properly hydrated, we have less cravings. If we start our day with fiber, fat, and protein, we'll have less cravings throughout the day because we're dialing back, that sugar at breakfast.
Yes.
And if we create the conditions of life to support the life we want to live by addressing what's in our environment and thinking of it, this is all part of your personal productivity package.
Yes.
These are all things you can control. So in this out of control world, every one of the things we've discussed today, you can control.
Yes. And that is a great place to be and to feel in all of this right now. So, oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Kristen. You guys follow her. Make sure. So it's the culinarycure.com. She's at the Culinary Cure. I believe on Instagram you are Kristen Coffield or Culinary Cure?
Coffield.
Kristen Coffield. So we'll have those links and everything right here, guys. Follow her. Not only, is she amazing and awesome, but there's recipes, there's tips, there's courses, workshops, like whatever version of action you need to take, she has something for you. So show up, go there, and thank you guys all for showing up to create your best life. So as you know, this summit is free. So if you enjoyed what you learned here today, we would love your appreciation in the form of shares, likes, comments, and follows. And if you haven't already, please check out our weekly show, My Design Life, where we test methods and habits to live a life that you love. You can connect with me at TanyaMFK and at My Design Life Show on Facebook and Instagram, and learn more about our workshops, courses, and coaching at TanyaMFK.com. So remember, your someday starts today. Make it the best. I'm Tanya MFK with Kristen Coffield, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Welcome to My Designed Life.